Hello, my name is Sean, and welcome back to what you probably thought was the third episode of the Note Block Lamp, but you are hopefully happily mistaken. I actually am working on a side project right now because I personally have to have little side projects for a larger project, which the lamp counts as being about 1,200 sheets of paper. I burn out if I just have one project to focus on, and so having little ones helps prevent me from burning out and helps me from getting too focused on that one project, so I don't end up in one of those forest for the trees scenarios. Yeah, it's not good. It's better for me, better for my health, better for my creativity, better for the project, I find. So I've actually got 2 other projects on the go, technically 3, but one's done. I posted that to my Instagram. I should probably put my Instagram link in the doobly-doo if anybody wants to see the other stuff, because I've got stuff that I've made that I don't have videos for. But this project is a necklace. This project is hopefully number 2 in a series of 4. The first one, so the general idea of the necklace is I wanted to make a necklace which does not look like any of these sketches. I don't know how well you can see it. It's very faint pencil. But again, by the way, got my book. I can doodle. I can continue my doodles. I've got all kinds of projects. This one was an ink. I've got all kinds of projects I'm working on that I am just like trying to get done. Anyway, yay me, I found my book, which has also contributed to why I have so many ideas now to work on. But I meander from my original point. Original point was I'm making a necklace. It's for a friend and coworker who is amazing and has been willing to put up with my insanity when I ask her insane questions like, does this shade of color work better than this shade of color? And I'm pretty crazy like that. But anyway, so this necklace is gonna be awesome. I know because I actually made it. Unfortunately, this is a bit of out of order. I'm recording the intro pretty much after I've done the necklace because of things and having no voice. And as a result, this is actually going to be a little different, this necklace. This necklace, I should note, is going to be... Actually, no, did I say this is going to be a different necklace? Anyway, this is going to be a different video. I apologize. You know, strike that and reverse kind of thing. So this necklace is going to be, like I said, number 2 in a series of 4, hopefully. The first one was for another coworker and friend. She had put forth the challenge of creating a necklace that would be her. Necklace that I thought would represent what I knew about her. And so it was a very nice necklace, and if I'm doing this right in editing, it should appear now. And if I didn't do it right in editing, it should appear now. And I'm gonna hope I did it right in editing. Anyway, so it was a summertime scene, as you can see, hopefully, of like a bluebird, of happiness, because she's such an happy character, kind of idea, and lots of nature, and I found it to be a very summery scene. It felt very summery to me when I made it, which again worked for her. She's a very cool person, and so this inspired me to want to make a series of necklaces, one for each season. And the initial idea for this necklace that I'm currently making is going to be a spring-based necklace. I wanted the idea of blossoms, of, you know, birds. I wanted it to be interesting but kind of barren, I guess you could say. You know how like spring you've got the blossoms showing up, the little leaf buds, but you still got a lot of the branches exposed. There really isn't a lot in the world, but you've got the birds and, you know, there's that hope kind of thing. But the skies are still kind of like gray blue. I don't know. I hope I did a really good job. Let me know in the comments what you think. But I wanted to make a spring-based one, and so the easiest way was work on flower blossoms and birds. And unfortunately, I had no motivation for this, and that's because I'm a weirdo. Mark that. Great thing to use against me. Self-admitted weirdo. Anyway, the reason why I'm a weirdo is I need to make things for people. For me, the enjoyment of what I create comes from the challenge. It comes from coming up with the idea and seeing, can I do that? Can I make that? Is this possible? And I've said before, I have lots of ideas where I'm like, this is amazing, this is awesome, this physically doesn't work in reality, and I get upset. But I enjoy the act of creation, and I enjoy it very much so. But there's something that genuinely saddens me when I can't, when I make something and it can't be appreciated by others, or I make something that only I can appreciate. In fact, there's only technically 4 things I've only made for myself, but they're part of a whole. Is I made the Pac-Man ghosts. I think one might be in view right now. And again, I forget their names. I know they're Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. I'm pretty sure the... I think the yellow one's Clyde. That's my Pac-Man knowledge. But I made that for myself because it is something important to me. Pac-Man is something that I played with my mother growing up, and it's something that reminds me of her. It's a very fond memory every time I play that game. But I digress. The point of my little intro is, this is a different video. I have finished the project. I'm recording this now because I didn't actually have a voice for like a week. 6 days. Basically a week. Because even when I got it back, it was kind of raspy. So I didn't actually get a chance to record this intro or the outro, so the project's actually already done. And I'll record the ending later. But while I was making it, I recorded footage of me making it in the process. So this is actually going to be a bit of a time-lapse how-to video going through how I made things. So I apologize in advance. I sincerely hope I did a good job and do a good job of editing this. And I do apologize if it's a little long. Right now I'm sitting at, I've got 2 parts left to record and I'm already at an hour's worth of work. But it's the entire, almost the entire process. The entire necklace probably took about 2 hours to make, not including drying times or things like that. So, but it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It was quite the challenge. And I can, spoiler alert, say with confidence, I didn't glue myself to the necklace. I didn't glue myself to the necklace. I may have glued other things to me. But they were small, so it's excusable. Anyway, I'm rambling. I hope you guys enjoy. And now to the making of. Alright, so first things first, you'll see me doing something probably pretty weird. You don't know what I'm doing. I'm actually taking a sheet of paper and I'm just pressing it into the locket portion, or the central part of the necklace itself. I want to get a good fit for what the circle should be. And I'm just going to cut it out now using an X-Acto knife. But I, not being the smartest of people sometimes, had a good idea here to get a nice sharp edge, except I was using a knife instead of a pencil. If I'd done this correctly, probably going to save myself some future embarrassment, because I realized after I cut out the piece of paper here for the central part, I realized I actually damaged a portion of it. You can see me just playing with it here. I'm honest to God in my head right now, hoping so hard that it'll work, and unfortunately it doesn't, and I'm going to admonish myself here in about a few seconds. There we go. I'm figuring it out, and I figured it out. So I got to start all over again, which sucks, but this time I've smartened up. I'm getting a smaller sheet of paper. I actually ended up liking this paper color a lot more. I found the last one to be too green, whereas this one's a more gray-blue color, which I think is perfect for a nice spring morning. Because there are spring mornings, I find, you get some of those gray days and that with all the rain. So I'm actually smart enough to do a pencil sketch of it, cutting it out, giving it a quick fit. And I think at the beginning here, I think it's a really good idea to keep the basic circle shape and not show any of the silver border of the... I'm going to call it a locket. I know that's incorrect, but we're going to call it a locket. What I'm doing here is I'm actually trying to figure out the correct size bird to make. I can't stress enough for anybody doing things like this. Make models. Make models so you know how big of a piece of paper you need, because you can always figure out, like, if I use a 5 centimeter sheet of paper, I'll need a X centimeter sheet of paper to make what I want to make. So I've done that now, did some math, and I'm just going to fold the bird. The bird
actually is pretty cool. I don't know where I got it from. I think I can find it online. It's a children's bird model. Super simple, and that's one of the things you have to remember when you're making necklaces like this, is you have to remember that no matter how much you want to make this amazing, fantastical, whatever, in this case a bird, when you make things super small, you lose a lot of detail. You also have to keep in mind that because the paper is super small, the thickness of the paper matters a whole lot more than it would normally. And so very quickly, depending on your paper choice, you could screw yourself pretty bad by not giving yourself enough room to work with because of the thickness of the paper. But thankfully in this case, because I'm using foil paper, which is typically thinner, I don't actually have to worry about that. But that is something I found in working with small objects that you really have to take into account, is the thickness of the paper. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. Basic math will help you 100 times over. But yeah, if I can remember, or at least find something of it, I'll put the link in the doobly-doo in the bottom if anybody wants to fold it themselves. It's a really simple children's fold. It does use scissors to cut the tail feathers and the wings, and I don't like that. But again, beggars can't be choosers. I'm working with something smaller than I normally would. And actually, at this point, as you can see, I've got it done. I've got a nice sizing here, just making sure it fits. My math was good. Next thing I'm going to make is the branches. This is actually just some scrap paper I have laying around. When you've been doing origami as long as I have, you tend to acquire large quantities of paper. A lot of paper. I actually have an ottoman filled with paper, which is both hilarious for an inside joke with my friends and sad because I have a lot of paper. I didn't actually measure out the amount of paper I need or the size, simply because I've made this I guess it's like it's going to be the sticks in the end, but I've made these before. It makes a really good, if you use green paper, it does a good job as functioning as a stem. If you use brown, it can be twigs and leaves and things like that, or the twigs for leaves. So yeah, really simple thing. Just fold it over and over again, and then do some zigzag folds to make the branches themselves. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this. It's currently running at 3 times speed because I'm slow and methodical, it turns out. And what you're about to witness here is me starting the flowers. The flowers are actually made from 8mm sheets of paper, which is exceptionally small even for me. And I mean, you're going to see something in a few seconds here. I fiddled with this for a good 20 minutes to try and get this one flower. It's awful. Like, it's just so small. I ended up giving up and getting some tweezers and folding them because I'm about to rage quit. I actually slow down the footage so you see how fast I move. This is me moving at my normal speed when I fold. It's slow and methodical, and I rage quit. This is a little bit after I've actually gone and finished the sticks. I've just added some bends into them. I've coated all the actual paper in a spray lacquer, Krylon lacquer, clear gloss. And now I'm just going to assemble everything with crazy glue. I probably could use some other amazing thing. I didn't want to use a hot glue gun because then it gets lumpy, and I don't want it to be lumpy. Whereas with the crazy glue, I can just put it on. So you can see here I actually trim the edges because I want that. Initially I wanted the whole circle to be that piece of paper. But in the end, I didn't like it, and you'll see that later on. And as always, whenever you work with anything, folks, please take the time, get an idea where you want to put stuff. You'll love yourself for it. What I'm doing here, if you're curious, is I'm just cutting off little bits of a toothpick. I want to maintain some level of three-dimensionality to this. So what I'm doing is I'm actually cutting this little nub of a toothpick to put underneath the bird to hide it, to help give it a little more support, to help keep it up off the backing. Also, I should note, if you are ever going to coat regular paper in a 2-part epoxy resin, please spray it with some kind of lacquer or something to kind of seal the paper. The reason being, the resin will soak right into the paper if there isn't that kind of protective barrier. And if you're going for that kind of splotchy wet look, which can work for things that you're making, it depends on what you're making. But in this case, I didn't want that. I had to protect them. The flowers, though, on the other hand, I did want that, so I ended up absolutely coating the flowers in the spray-on lacquer. And what that does with the paper I chose, it actually causes the paper to go translucent. So I thought that was a neat effect for the flowers. It's really hard to see. You really have to like look close, and unfortunately, the finished flowers are like 5 millimeters in size, so it's actually kind of hard to see what's going on with the flowers in that translucence. But I know it's there, and sometimes that's all you need, right? So I'm just fidgeting with things here. I'm trying to get brave. I want to cut the stem. I don't want the overhang on that side of the necklace, but I do want one of the branches to overhang the edge of the medallion locket. I really don't know what to call it. The medallion. We'll call it a medallion. Medallion is much more classy sounding. So yeah, I want the one branch to overhang the medallion, but I don't want more than that one branch. Because I want to give the illusion of, again, three-dimensionality. I want it to make it look like it's kind of popping out of the frame. And that's what, in the end, caused me to abandon this idea of the paper going all around the edge and not showing that border, that silver border. And I just pointed out there, I glued the toothpick to myself. Again, I promised I didn't glue myself to the necklace. I did actually glue myself to the toothpick that was supposed to go on the necklace, because I was hoping to put a piece of toothpick under the branches to help prop it up, but in the end I didn't end up needing it. As you can see here, I'm using my tweezers. I think these are actually just like standard beauty tweezers you'd use to pluck eyebrow hairs or something. They've got a very fine point on them. You can pick them up at Shoppers Drug Mart. If you're going to be working in small origami objects, I fully support you picking up a pair. They're wonderful, they're amazing. I've got 2 pairs, I love them to bits, and I'm continually losing one and finding the other. And I just glued the flower to myself, and to my tweezers. That's the fun with crazy glue, folks. You gotta be careful, because otherwise you could end up gluing like literally everything to you. It's actually why I'm wearing blue gloves, and I can't stress safety enough. Please make sure that if you're working with crazy glue or any kind of adhesive or solvents, please do them in well-ventilated places. I'm actually doing this in my basement with the windows wide open and a fan going, and those blue gloves to make sure I don't glue myself to them. Now I'm just playing with the beads. What I've chosen for the beads is amethyst and rhodonite. That's because the colors I was given as preferences for colors, I should have mentioned earlier, were rose gold and purple, which worked out perfect for what I had in mind. What I'm just doing here is I'm just trying to figure out how I want to set it up, and I've decided I'm going to put the rhodonite closer to the center and the amethyst to cap either end. This is largely because out of all the beads that I've purchased, those 6 were the only ones that fit on the leather cording, and as you may have noticed, the cording was cut to a fine point to try and fish it through. It's one of the downsides to working with natural rocks as a bead, is that they typically will drill from one end and the other, and you just kind of gotta hope that they meet in the middle, which doesn't always happen. But if you're creating a necklace and using, say, like fishing wire or something where you don't want the cording to be seen, it's perfect. They work out great, and I have yet to actually get to that point where I want to work with them, but that is my plan. This, I'm just adding one of the end caps on the end just to be able to loop it on and add a hook to hook it to the middle. I'm just giving myself a quick little look to see how it's going to look, and I'm quite happy with it, I gotta say. Now that I finish off that stuff, I'm going to do some 2-part epoxy mixing. I just use, by the way, it's super easy. I use popsicle sticks to measure out the amount I need, and I use any old cap. In this case, it's one of the caps from my nephew's yogurt when I was babysitting him. All I'm using is a fine-tipped paintbrush And I'm just covering every little thing here and there with the epoxy resin, hoping to make sure I get every little nook and cranny, and I remember every little nook and cranny because I have made things before and forgotten certain nooks and certain crannies, and that is super upsetting when you make it for somebody and you find out that when they actually got caught in a rain shower, it wrecked the piece, especially after all your hard work. But I'm happy to say I'm quite confident I did a great job on this one, making sure to cover and coat every little corner, even put in a little extra in the bottom there, just to make sure that, you know, the underneath of the bird got caught. And as you can also notice, as I said, you can see now the medallion with the border, and it looks so much smarter than just the circular sheet of paper. I'm much happier with it. Just getting some final little bits here and there for the necklace. I'm putting on the last few end caps, and what I have decided is I'm actually going to use, because I'm not sure how I like the necklace, whether it's tighter like a choker or looser like a necklace. I'm actually just adding on some end caps, some hooks, and I'll be adding a chain onto the end. I'm just adding the clasp right now, or one of the loops to add onto the clasp. Super easy stuff. You can actually get these kits at Michael's. They're ready-made, they're really easy to get, and if you're doing necklace work, I suggest getting them because it makes things a lot faster and a lot easier. And with that, we have the finished necklace.
Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. As I said, this is my first time doing kind of a sped up playthrough, sort of highly edited style of video. I'm still learning, still new with this. If you have any constructive criticism to help, it would be greatly appreciated. If there's anything else you think I should know, happily leave a comment down below and I will try and get back to you guys as soon as possible. But until then, thank you guys very much for watching, and again, hope you enjoyed, and until I see you again, please take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Bye-bye.